way you're gonna hold me down. I said, I'm going gray in Tinseltown.
You're a beast.
There's no way you're gonna hold me down, 'cause I was born to entertain, and
Show them
you
what a real woman
can't
looks
take
like.
that away. I'm going gray all in your face. You can't replace this. It's going down, we're going gray in Tinseltown.
Hi, welcome to episode 4 of Going Gray in Tinseltown. Today I'm really excited to have Megan Vigil, a beauty expert supreme who has worked in all kinds of places that she's gonna describe right now.
I feel like because I've been doing it for 15 years, licensed esthetician, started as a makeup artist and an eyebrow artist in salons, and then just love to teach and explain when I'm doing sales, and immediately it's like, here, let me show you how I did this. And so I was very successful in the retail environment and built that career, but did a lot of makeup for film and television and video, whatever, fashion, all of it. But then I started creating my own content for companies, like their educational content, videos and hosting, blogs and webinars and everything and anything that somebody would need to bring their brand awareness to their employees. Mm-hmm. And I became a copywriter. I didn't even know what a semicolon was, but I could tell you in minute detail how to blend an eyeshadow in a very fun and interesting way. So after years working like for E and CoverGirl and Pantene and just faking it, really I was faking it. After that, I started creating books and complete courses for makeup artists from the beginner level all the way to the advanced level for people who are wanting to build their business. And now I am the educational content writer for a company, an eyebrow and makeup company, and I write all of their training materials. So I'm just a beauty everythinger. That's the Latin term.
I like it.
Yeah.
Beauty everythinger. Weird. I feel really weird. I feel really discombobulated today. I think because my hair's back.
That'll do it. And my hair is usually back and it's down, so I feel more like
confident.
I feel feminine, like really feminine, and like and if that means confidence, then I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm into that.
I feel naked. I feel, because I'm not wearing a bra. Mm-hmm. Also,
I love that feeling though, because that also makes me feel more like, haha, my titties are out. Like, fuck you.
Yeah. Actually, I remember in my 20s, I always wanted to not wear a bra. And I had, my best friend would get very uncomfortable when I didn't. She'd be like, I'm very uncomfortable. You need to wear a bra with that shirt. And I was like, no, I like, because she was uncomfortable with her breasts.
Yeah, and just seeing some nice little tits is, maybe she was being confronted with her.
She was. And the good
sexuality.
news is she ended up gaining a lot of weight later on and got these great boobs, and then lost the weight and has the boobs.
Oh,
I know. She got gifted.
Mine disappear.
Really?
Yeah, the smallest I've been is like 160 pounds, and they went to a good C cup, like a mid-range C cup, but at my largest, they were 40 triple D.
Wow.
And they were these torpedoes, and now I'm about 200 pounds, and I'm so obsessed with them. I'm like, they're vulgar and they are
great
luscious.
Word.
Yeah, because especially when you're talking about not wearing the bra, there's some outfits that I can wear without a bra, and I feel vulgar, and I like it.
I love that you just
face.
dropped your number, the weight number.
I've always been overweight throughout my entire life, and it's not a thing. It just is, and it doesn't mean it's good or bad. Like, sometimes I'll identify as a fat person or say, well, as a fat person, and other people will have a problem with that, and I'm like, I just don't have the vocabulary on the top of my head to give it a better word. For lack of a better word, I'll use the word fat.
So is it part of how you identify? Because identity is a big part of what I'm going through right now. So I wonder what that's about.
Because I fluctuate so much, and my life is always changing. My roles are always changing. My place of where I live is always changing. My identity isn't defined by my weight. I haven't really thought about it. I
Yeah.
know what it's not defined by.
Tell me.
But it's not defined by my job and my place of where I live and my weight. It used to be, but because I've dismantled myself so many times, it's like a non-thing.
What do you mean by dismantle?
Like I've moved or I've lost everything more than once. When I find myself identifying too strongly with the status quo or with those types of things, I'm like, you know that none of this is really real. And I'll find that I'm trying to be this person for other people sometimes. And I'm like, you know that that's not really real. And their opinions of how things are supposed to be aren't going to sustain you. So your good doesn't come from their opinions. And I have to confront myself with that. Like when I'm in a job or when I'm in a certain situation and I'm like, you're identifying, you know, too much with this role and you're becoming a real bitch. So
Okay, so where did that wisdom come from?
it's just through reading many books and a lot of journaling.
Yeah.
It's really important. I actually brought my journal for some reason.
Aw.
I'm like, oh, probably because a question like this would come up, and then I could refer to some of the work that I do to dismantle. And I try to identify with every possibility that ever will exist, ever existed, ever was through the dawn of time, throughout dimensions, and I'll go to that place constantly in like meditation or even when I'm waiting in line for something, and just go to this place and be conscious of identifying as no thing whatsoever. And when I do that, I feel like I'm identifying with everything.
So
Yeah.
who are the authors that you're reading right now, and over the course of your journey, which are the ones that stood out to you?
I think my gateway drug, my gateway metaphysical was The Secret. That was the gateway
Right.
one.
That's a gateway drug for a lot of people.
Yeah, but it was after a lot of psychological books and even books like the Tao of Pooh and researching a lot of philosophies that were different than the Christianity that I was heavily raised in, which I was into. I really appreciated Christianity until it no longer served me. And then that was the biggest breakup of my 20 years, was my breakup with Jesus Christ. But it started there after the psychology books and a woman named Louise Hay, her book,
You Can Heal Your Life.
You Can Heal Your Life. And I was just like, it was a game changer at 26, 27. And then from there, it was like Abraham Hicks, and then going to the New Thought school, like Neville Goddard and Florence Scovel Shinn and all of those authors. They're all metaphysical books, Law of Attraction. But my most recent book is by an author named Dr. Joe Dispenza. This author, he really talks about your addiction to your thoughts and how you think a thought and then the physiological chemicals that run through your body to create the emotion, to create the behavior, so you don't really get a lot of stimulation that's different outside of your day. You wake up with the same thoughts, you have the same stimulation, so you are very addicted to the thoughts that you have and the emotions that you have, because that's all your body knows. And when you stop associating with those thoughts that you constantly think, it's very difficult, because it's like a muscle that you work out every day, and you really you feel indignant, you have those judgments, and that real good, it's like licking a cavity good, when that cortisol or whatever the indignancy chemical is that you get. So you identify with these emotions, and this is who you are. When you start to question what you identify with, and you change something, take a different route to work even, or listen to different books or watch a different show, your body will be like, where's my cortisol? Where's my cortisol? So your body starts to really run the show after 38 years in this life. So through this book and the different exercises that he gives and all the different exercises that I've used from all of the other authors, I've just
Reprogrammed.
and not to, I feel like for most people who aren't doing much, it's a big difference from the very scared, insecure weirdo at 20 versus the not as scared, not as insecure, very much still weirdo 38-year-old, you know, but more like, you know what, I might be autistic and that's okay, you know, just like, I'm fucking weird or whatever my issues are. It's like, it is what it is. You're doing the best you can. You're giving everything you can to everything that you can, and
reaping the rewards.
And reaping the rewards.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
So how does this, your spiritual life, talk to me about your spiritual life in the beauty industry and where those two things align and where they are out of alignment.
That's a really good question. So when I'm working with clients and their monumental insecurities, or working in the beauty industry with my coworkers in the corporate world, and their, lack of a better term, basic bitch mentalities, or like when I said, oh, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm actually going to be doing a podcast all about aging in the film industry. And my boss was like, okay. And I was just like, I understand. I'm not going to be pissed at you. Like, it's all right.
So what I'm finding with this gray hair process I'm going through right now is that the people that are giving me the most pushback are older. The younger people are all about it. They're like, I can't wait to get gray hair, you know, which is how I felt when I was younger too. And now that I'm at this stage, I just slipped into dyeing it at 30 because I had some gray hair, and that's what you do.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Now at 43, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It feels inauthentic in a million reasons. And when I went public with it, first of all, to go out in public and let people know that I have gray hair was terrifying.
Oh, man.
And show them, you know, on the Instagram. And then I started to cry. And I was like, I'm afraid people are going to know that I'm going to be infertile soon.
that goes back to our identifications and what we identify with.
Yeah.
And that's the ego totally being like, no. We still have to.
That was the first one.
Are addicted to our.
And then the next one was, I'm not going to work anymore. I won't be able to work as an actor. And I was like, but I can't put the chemicals on my body anymore, and I want to honor my life.
Yeah, and your good doesn't come from your hair.
You
had to learn that. Yeah,
I've heard this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting, the identification with it. I have to keep myself in check to not just replace one addiction with another.
Yeah.
And make the red hair the addiction, and now it's the gray hair. And I'm identifying with the gray hair.
Yeah.
And the validation that I was looking for, that I wasn't getting anymore with red hair because I was over 40 and not working, and social media was kind of bored of me or whatever the fuck was going on. And then now that I'm getting all this validation for the gray hair, because what happened on Instagram, I lost 200 followers in the first week.
Wow.
Yeah. But now I'm gaining more followers more quickly than I was before, because it's just a different, people are very passionate about this.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
I'm trying to use social media and that need for validation and turn it around to push me into posting when I don't have makeup on. And pushing myself to put the reality out on Instagram and the joy.
Yeah.
Today I was so happy when I woke up this morning, and I was singing and sending this little dance video to a bunch of women that I'm doing a project with. And I was creating the video for them, and then I was like, wow, could I actually post this? Like, there's so much joy. I look like I'm gonna cry. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And like, that's intimidating to share with the world too, because sometimes the viciousness that comes back from people is around you shining your light. You know, people can't stand on the periphery. It's the blocked artist that is the critic, you know, because there's something in them that it's triggering because they want to do it.
It's fear on their part, especially going back to what you were saying about it's the older women policing you. Sometimes I'm like, you jealous? You jealous because you didn't have the courage to just do you, or you didn't even know you were allowed to do that.
Yes.
And now
I
you're
didn't
like,
know.
Yeah.
I think I'm like so conscious and got my shit together, and I was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
I can grow out my hair and still be successful and wonderful and not have to identify with my beauty to validate my worth. which is
or be given permission to be. There's a lot of that going on for me too.
Oh yeah.
Especially with acting, it's set up to be, you need to be chosen, then they shine the light on you and put the camera where they want it and see you the way they want you to be seen and tell you how to behave.
Yeah.
But let's go back to beauty, because it's not a world that I work in. So clients who are aging, have you ever worked with a skincare line or a hair care line that was targeted toward anti-aging, or I mean all of them?
Yes. Yes. Next question.
Okay, the word anti-aging, I have some issues with that. I picked up this amazing line that I really love, skincare stuff that I've been using, but it says anti-aging on it. And do you remember the study that was done, the Japanese guy who studied the water molecules?
Yeah, right. So it's like anti-aging or anti-war or anti-this. You're really just like going for a whole bunch of aging. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've thought about this too. And of course, when you ask the question about how does my spirituality come into it, and I think about our war against aging and how we treat people that are aging and how I identify with it myself, my mother, and the products that I work with. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when I'm really into it, I'm just like, I have a problem with this. I do have a problem with this because I'm not trying to stop the aging process. Like, I just want to take care of myself and stop the aging. So it's like that duality of, I definitely I'm very American. I'm very much a woman born and raised in a patriarchal society, and a product of my mother's obsession with youth and beauty. So it's like, I understand what I'm trying to do and try to give it some type of spiritual form, but most of the time, the only influence that I have are with the people that I'm working with directly. Like, I don't have responsibility over what the products are named or called. Sometimes I do, and then I try to be crafty, but at the very end of the day, I'm like, I also want a paycheck, and I will justify it as long as I can. La la la, you know. So there is that duality when I'm working with my clients, or if we're creating like a training material, and has a specific type of verbiage to older women. I'm like, we can't say it like this, because a lot of the women that we're dealing with that are becoming 50 or in their 40s right now, they don't listen to this. They don't give a fuck about their aging, and they're not feeling bad about it. They're not a problem that needs to be solved. They want to take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. That's the basis. Mm-hmm. That's where they want to be drawing from, not this like, I need to apologize for looking old, or companies that use very young models for their anti-aging skincare. I'm like, first of all, that bitch will burn her face off if she uses that. You gotta go give us Helen Mirren and speak to the people you're trying to work with and show them how to take care of themselves, as opposed to giving them this false aspirational ideal of this 13-year-old girl, which they don't want to look like. They want to look like the best versions of their 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old selves. So
I can remember walking into H&M not too long ago and seeing them having untouched older models on the wall and crying. I started to cry because I just had never seen it on a billboard in my life.
It's so awesome.
I think that's a really interesting point about the difference between putting makeup on or making yourself look nice or taking care of your skin out of fear or out of love. Mm-hmm. And I can't say, you know, it oscillates from day to day.
That's very true. Just like I'm still a product of my environment, or I still have my issues with certain thoughts or perspectives that I'm working on. Some days I don't win. I won't be winning for about 30 seconds while I'm mentally hate fucking somebody or a situation or fearing but catching myself and being like, I didn't raise you like that, Megan. Like, you are coming from a wrong place and you feel like shit right now. So then I have to reel it in, especially with aging, because I have my issues with it, where I'm like, this is happening. And when I started noticing my aging, about 10 years ago, 25 when it first started, and people would go, oh God, and I never do that. If someone has an issue with themselves, I don't want to be the one to try to convince them otherwise. I want to let them know it's a safe space. You can hate yourself all you want in front of me, and I'm going to love you no matter what, and give you because it's not every day, all day that I have these worries, but sometimes I have the fears and the worries and the doubts and the ugliness and the not taking pictures of myself because, I feel like I look like an old hag compared to the supple, joyful 20-year-old that I used to be.
Yeah.
But when I catch myself, actually, when it first started, I told myself there's 2 ways you can go with this. You already know how your mom thinks about it because she really lets you know your entire life that after a certain age, nobody will love you, nobody will want you, it's over the hill. Like, that mentality was very strong. And her sister is single, and she's 3 years younger than my mom, so they're both in their 60s, and she's posting this picture from like 20 years ago on her dating account, and I was like, you obviously don't look like that, and you can tell that picture is from a long time ago. So she was like, you know what, Megan, these men, they only care about this and this and that. And I was like, okay, you are completely generalizing half of the population. You're lying completely so that you could appeal to this very asshole idea that you have of these people.
Yeah.
So you're fucking yourself in so many ways, and she's stunning. She is so stunning. And go find someone that's gonna like you for this, So they made me drink the Kool-Aid a long time ago, and I said to myself, you're gonna either hate yourself and want to completely die. And I know that sounds so dramatic, but there are times where I'm just like, you better hurry up and tone this up, or get some Botox, or take care of this before you're too old, or you're not going to get married. And I was like, you just had that thought.
Yeah.
And you got to reel it in, because this isn't going to change. You're not going to look like this. And you could either be drawing from the well of no one's going to want you, your good comes from your looks, or these great tits, or this and that. And if you lose those things go. Or you can start now in completely taking your identification from your form and putting it somewhere else, something that's more long lasting, or understanding that this is happening, and whatever I need to do, I have to just la these types of thoughts, because they're not going to serve me, and they're just going to disintegrate what confidence I've built up from my insecurities. It didn't even matter how great my tits were in my 20s, because my insecurities were completely different. Yeah. So now it's like I'm kind of like inverting on myself, where now I have all this confidence, but the body isn't the way that it was. And it's like, it never was about the body. I didn't even know how gorgeous I was. I had like a body dysmorphic disorder where, like a hot dysmorphic disorder, where I knew I was good looking. I felt like I was attractive, but that didn't matter to me, because when I was talking to somebody that I thought had more money, or more educated, or in a higher position, or really just anybody else with a pulse that I thought was in any way above me, which was most people, I was a piece of shit anyway. And the looks they were never a factor. So now that I know that I'm pretty, and I know that I have all of these wonderful qualities, I still have the insecurities and the doubts when I'm talking to somebody that might be superior to me, and I have to be like, oh, you're doing that thing.
That comparison thing.
Yeah.
Just want to go back to what you said about, being single, and if you don't uphold, you won't get married, kind of thing. That old story that's playing in your head that's not yours.
Yeah.
But the idea of how we see ourselves through the eyes of men primarily first. And I don't think that there are any specific men's eyes that we're seeing ourselves through. It's just a myth. There's some story about it's like the way men see you. It's like, oh, people are going to think this, or, I hear that in TV all the time. Well, the audience isn't going to want that, or whatever. It's bullshit. So you and I were talking earlier about walking down the street. And I've been using this example a few times on the podcast, and people I've been talking to about aging, around the hit that I have always gotten, that I just became part of my everyday existence, where I would just walk around and people stare. People look, men, you know, you can tell the ones that are into you.
Yeah.
And it used to be almost all of them.
I call it fuckdar. Oh, they want to fuck me.
Yeah, and I always just thought everyone wanted to fuck me, and that was just part of my life.
I know,
you know?
I think that too.
and then it started to change a little bit, and I noticed not as many men noticing me, and then I was like, okay, well, do I need to try harder? Do I need to wear more leopard? Like, am I a cougar now? What's going, you know, what's all that about? But what I've realized is that if I walk down the street and 4 men walk by me and pay attention, and that makes me feel good, then when the 5th one spits in my face, which actually has happened to me, then it takes my power away. So by giving it away for the positive experience, I'm also giving it away for the negative. And you told me a story about the way that you walk down the street, which I think is so interesting, about making eye contact with people.
So a long time ago, because of my deep-seated insecurity, even though people would think I'm an extrovert, when I was younger, I was very boisterous and in your face because I was so scared. I just was like...
Overcompensating.
Yeah, overcompensating.
Yeah.
And I wasn't very intimate with people or had a lot of strong connections because I was just not comfortable with myself. So when I walk down the street, now that's changed to a big degree. When I walk down the street, I want to let everybody see this amazing person, or not just me, but like if anybody did that, if anybody was in this mindset of breaking up somebody's day with a gift of the smile or the acknowledgement or the this or the that, and not everyone has to do this. This is just something I like to do because I really love people. I love them, and I give them that nod, that acknowledgement. If they feel good, great. If they don't feel good, great. It's like their response isn't really what gives me my joy. My joy is being joyful and them allowing to see this joy. Like your dance video. It's that's what it is. I'm that dance video walking down the street and I'm just like, here's somebody having a good day. How are you? You know, like, and so I give them that little nod, like we're both in on some inside joke that is like, we're all one, we're all part of this, and that's kind of what I like to give. But as I was telling you, sometimes they're not seeing the joy, they're seeing the great tits, and then I no longer become this celestial being of love and light. I become a pair of great tits. Then I become back into the woman role that they see, and then they sexually harass me or whatever it is. Yeah. But like I was saying, I don't get it as much as I'm getting older, or because I am more like, how are you today, sir? Like top of the morning. And I try to be a little more asexual to compensate for this amazing smile. So
I once dated a guy who grew up in the Bronx in the 70s when it was super rough, and he made eye contact with everyone. And I remember him nodding and saying hello to everyone on the street, and I was like, that's so interesting. Is that a cultural thing? Is that New York? Is that black New Yorkers? Like, what is this? And he's like, it's letting someone know that I see them. Like, don't pull shit on me. Don't come and rob my shit. I saw your face. I know who you are. It's a protective thing that also happens to look like a very neighborly thing to do, but it's actually like, don't fucking stab me in the back because I'm going to be able to identify you.
For me, it's both. It is that too. It's like, I'm conscious, I'm here, I'm totally aware of your presence in both ways. Yeah. Because I'm not like one of those spiritual people, we're all one. Yeah, we are all one, but this one over here wants your wallet or wants to rape you or wants to this. So it's both, for sure.
I've had a hard time with that, being Canadian and moving down here. I actually have a friend, and she was the first one to notice it, because most Americans don't notice that Canadians have cultural issues here. They just sort of are like, oh, you're just like us. And
yeah, you sound, I can barely hear your accent.
That's all it is.
Yes,
but she's like, girl, you need to be more careful. Like, you're not afraid of things that you should be afraid of. So she was with me. We were walking down the street together, coming from a screening, and we walked across the street to the corner, and there was a guy walking across, kind of from kitty corner to the same corner as us. And he saw us and then started following us across the street. He had just walked across.
I'd already be flipping out.
Well, he's right up on us and being like, "Where are you guys going?
None of
Come
your
to the
fucking
bar."
business.
Blah, blah, blah. And he's dressed like normally-ish, whatever. Who cares what he's wearing?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Come with us." And my friend is covering her face and being like, "We're going home. We're going." Just
and you're like,
not
"Oh, I'm
associating.
sorry."
Well, the interesting thing is, I was at the time, just as we were walking down the street, I'd been thinking a lot about Bette Davis because I'd been watching Feud at the time, and I was like, "Why do I shrink? What is that about?" Bette Davis never walked onto a set and like looked around to see. She was like, "I'm fucking Bette Davis. Where the fuck's my chair? Give me a cigarette."
Yeah.
Like she owned her space. And I was like, I'm Bette Davis. So I kept thinking about that and taking
This
all
is
that
really
energy.
important. Continue.
And then I was like walking as Bette Davis and then the guy. And I'm thinking, I'm Bette Davis, I actually like LA as Bette Davis. Like I could do this,
Yeah.
you know? And then he comes up to us and she's walking away and I'm like, I'm Bette Davis. And then he comes close to me, right up in my face, and I'm like, "You're in my safety circle."
He's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that's exactly. He was like, "What?" I said, "You're in my safety circle." And I looked at him and he spit in my face
Oh my god.
and ran away. And
Disgusting.
I screamed because I
Ew.
was like, didn't expect it at all. And then some car pulled over and he's like, "You should charge him with assault." And I was like, really? The guy spit in a woman's face and ran away? Like, I think he's got bigger problems.
And like, I don't want to waste my time anymore
don't
on
wanna
this
waste my time.
motherfucker.
But it was so interesting to me.
Yeah.
It was after I had shot the show that I showed you, Mother, with the I'm not here for your entertainment episode,
Damn.
which was another thing that had happened on Sunset where a guy told me I had a nice ass. No, Santa Monica Boulevard, across 5 lanes of traffic, yelling at me that I have a nice ass. I didn't think he was talking to me. Didn't even care. What am I going to do? Go and fucking give him my number?
Yeah.
I start walking away and then he goes, "Bitch." And I was like, "Really? You liked my ass 4 seconds ago and now I'm a bitch?" Like,
No.
it's like that flip that
Oh,
happened.
I'm a fat bitch. We're a fat bitch. Fuck you, you fat bitch. And I'm like, "You piece of shit, small ego motherfucker." When
Okay,
you're
but that's
sorry,
very
I'm like
specific.
getting so mad. I'm like, like whenever they talk about women whose heads open up and bees fly out of their mouth, I'm like, like I'm not a woman. I'm a fucking phoenix. Where I want to tear my skin off and throw it at them.
Yeah.
Like that guy that came and got that close to you. So I'm all peaches and cream and like, "Hi," walking down the street, but you get into my safety zone, I've already started screaming at you when you started to cross the block. Like,
See, I've been trained
Yeah.
to be nice because you don't know. So you don't know what's going to happen. So you want to make sure that you're safe. And also don't offend the guy. Don't upset
I
him.
know.
You know, and when I went to Burning Man this year, every experience I had, it was my first time going, every experience I had was about some dude fucking going off on me because I didn't want him to touch me. Or it was like, you know, that was what I needed to learn about. And also the other experience I kept having was guys getting angry when I was talking to another woman and we were going into that special place where the light burns between us.
Yeah, you're really having a
And
connection.
they feel threatened, and like one guy was like, "I introduced you and now you're ignoring me." I was like, "I did the thing you're talking about. Like, listen, mother." I was like, "You're a short man. You need to get the fuck out of my face. I'm sorry you have life issues because you're 4'2". Like, I became that guy. You
Yeah.
know? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Stop that. He's wounded. Leave him alone. Who cares?
Well, there's like a balance. I mean, every time for everything, right? And we're not always going to be completely conscious of ourselves,
Oh,
especially when we're threatened.
Ego. Yes.
So, but as a woman filled with bees, I don't put that on every woman because I understand our plight and I understand that you have to shrink, you have to, like your friend was covering herself just like, this isn't happening because you don't know how far it's gonna go. And it went far. He spit in your face. Like right now, my whole neck is on fire. I want to like squeeze someone's head to blood. Like I'm so angry.
Yeah.
But for me, when they come to a certain degree or they start to get to a certain level, like as a young person without a car in Los Angeles taking the bus wearing something like this and a man pulling up constantly, "Do you need a ride?" "No."
Me too, that happened to me
"Fuck you
too."
then, bitch."
Yeah.
So I stopped.
followed my bus for like 5 blocks.
So when it got to the point, like I remember this guy, "You need a ride?" And he was from the East Coast. And I was like, "Get the fuck hey. He was far away from me.
Yeah.
And he was like, watch your fucking mouth. And I'm like, you're pulling up to a young woman waiting at the bus stop at night wearing normal clothes asking if she wants a ride? Get the fuck out of here. And you could tell he was like, oh my God.
You're my hero.
What am I doing? And he drove away. I don't know if he was embarrassed or if he was mad, but he didn't say one more word. Same at the gas station when a man comes up to me, even if they're far away, and I'm like, watch yourself. Keep where you are. What do you want?
Yeah.
And they don't know. They don't know because they don't understand our plight. Mm-hmm. I have a neighbor who's like, yeah, I thought it was just, they were just being rude. And I'm like, I'm not being rude. I'm like, no offense to you. You have a tattoo on your head. You look very scary to me, as a concept. And I know that you're not, and I give you the benefit of the doubt. But I promise you, if you were to have come up to me in a certain type of way,
I can't do it with my body. I can do it with my soul, but I can't do it with my body.
What do you mean?
Give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Totally. Because
from a distance
you don't
I can,
know. Well, from a distance, that if they're coming, like the gas station, what do you want?
Yeah.
Why are you coming up to me? What? I'm like, look, I'm a woman standing by myself in the dark. There's nobody around. I don't know what you want. You're a man. What?
Yeah.
And sometimes they're just like, fuck you. And they go away. I'm like, fine. If that's how it ends, call me a fat bitch, whatever. But don't come over here. I will light you on fire or fucking gasoline. I will kill you.
The guy who came to me, I was at the corner of Santa Monica and Vine, waiting for the bus at 2 a.m. one night.
No.
And I lived at Washington and Crenshaw.
This is before Uber.
So you can imagine.
Yeah.
So the guy was in a black car, a SUV, and he was a driver. And he's like, look, I have no one in the back seat rolling down the back window.
Good for you. More room to rate me.
Yeah, I don't really. And I was like, I'm not really sure why you think I would get in the car with someone I don't know at 2 o'clock in the morning. He's like, I thought we had a connection, is what he literally said to me. Because he had leaned out the window as he drove by and staring at me. And so I looked at him because, like, why are you leaning out the window?
Yeah.
And then he sat there and followed my bus. Ugh. And there was a woman on the bus with me who was a night security guard. And she's like, what do you have in your purse? Do you have mace? Do you have a knife? What do you have? And I was like,
nothing.
I have my Canadian passport. You know, I don't know.
They can identify my body and send me back to my parents.
Yeah, like it's been a real eye-opener living here. It's very different. It's very different. I mean, it's not like I didn't experience shit at home. Of course I did.
Or even anywhere else in the world because you're a frequent traveler.
Yeah. But it's something... I think that there's a real culture here of sexual repression.
Oh, man.
I don't think it's very far off from, like, some Muslim countries, TBH.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that behavior comes out because of it, that anger at not being able to get laid. Like, if women were not slut-shamed and just allowed to freely give blowjobs without shame...
I'd be sucking dick all over the place.
You know what I'm saying? The world would be a better place. Because the men wouldn't be trying to suicide bomb things so that they can have sex with virgins.
Like, let the women be women, which are very sexual, cool, interesting, smart. Like, there's so many awesome things about women.
Yeah.
And then you're going to meet them and you're all going to have sex and, you know... It's going to be great.
I think the aging is connected to the sexual repression as well, because I think in societies where there is more sexual repression, which is also correlated to repression of women, that's where the aging thing is so prevalent, you know. And think about what we're doing to our faces. We're trying to make our eyes look, you know,
young,
bigger, and our lips look juicy and like you're, you know, orgasmic, dewy, sweaty. Like it's all about sex.
Yeah, it is all about sex. But I think we're a culture based on pedophilia. This is a new concept that I have, so I'm working it out. Sorry that you guys are my guinea pigs on this. People are gonna be like, "Oh my god, you're wrong." But
I'll
like,
send you the letters.
Pedophile culture is so huge, and it's not just about looking like we're being fucked. It's like we're young and looking like we're being fucked, and that's what it is. I think that youth also is because a lot of men and women, of course, I'm going to include women in that, but the younger women aren't going to talk back as much, aren't going to give anything. And there's this idea they can control, they can feel superior, they can feel above. And when you're dealing with a full-blown Venus flytrap vagina woman that knows what's up, that knows what her needs are, they're not going to measure up. And so our pedophilia culture is more about power and control than it is, and policing a woman's body, her body hair, her aging. Like literally, it's just like, don't even exist, you vagina. Like that's all you are. You are just something to fuck. You are not something to challenge me. You are really something to fuck, and for my ego to be, Lord of all above you.
Yeah.
And that's it. So when you live unapologetically as a gray-haired woman, as a big floppy-titted woman, as a fat woman, as any other type of woman that falls out of what society, and by that I mean the mainstream media, our president talking about tens and ones and that douchey mentality of a rating scale on a woman. It's really just ego. It's ego. It's to feel superior. It's to feel a domination over something. And women, because we're not physically stronger and we're so based in a physical world mentally, it's like, I'm gonna lord over this creature that is very connected to the universe with her womb and whatever it is, these witches and these mentally superior beings. I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna stick to that story.
So what are we putting on men that is making them behave that way or making them feel so inferior? What are the standards that they can't live up to that they are then pushing onto us?
They did it to themselves. They did it to themselves from not identifying with their emotions and considering anything that's female infantile, silly. So therefore talking about emotions and gossiping with your girlfriends and being feminine in any way is a less than thing. It's a weak thing. It's they were putting it on themselves. And then of course we give it back. We also validate that because we've drinking the Kool-Aid. So when we raise our boys, we don't make them do the housework. We don't hold them accountable to their emotional behavior when they're screaming and shouting and hitting and this, and they're just, and no, that's not how we act. That's not how we do. We take care of each other. We help each other. We don't teach them that. They don't have emotional responsibility. They don't have to take care of their actions for how they affect other people. And this is a lot of people. It's women as well, but the majority, this falls on men's shoulders, which is great when you're running around unchecked in the moment, but when you get older and you come across a woman on a street and she's letting you know that your behavior is not cool, you're gonna spit in her face because no one ever told you that you can't act like that when something doesn't go your way.
Because privilege, when it becomes equality, feels like oppression.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not even a privilege. It's like they always say, feel the worst, or I'm butchering this, for the rich man's son, because life is not like that.
Yeah. And
they really, really, really are trying to fit this giant 1,000-year-old idea into this modern peg into this square hole.
Yeah.
And it's like the women are not letting it happen anymore. And the black people aren't letting, not just black people, non-white men are not letting that happen anymore. And you were saying it is, I'm sorry for you guys, for you men that are, I would be so awesome, it'd be awesome if you're watching this, but just relax, stop identifying. I don't know. I'll tell you the same thing that I tell myself about aging.
I've raised a boy. I have a 26-year-old son. And when I think about how I approached that, I definitely wasn't conscious of the feminine aspects of him being something to nurture necessarily. I think what I went to immediately, because he was very sensitive. He still is a really sensitive guy. He's really loving. I was worried he was going to be a serial killer, but he liked animals, so I thought maybe it would balance.
He liked animals and he didn't kill them. He's not a serial killer. That's the earliest determinant.
Early stages. But I do remember when I saw signs in him of his feminineness, let's call it, that I would be worried that he was going to be beaten up or picked on in school for that. And so as a single mother, I was like, I'm not sure how to teach him to be a man and to relate to other boys or other men in that world. And he was bullied because of whatever reason kids get bullied for, but he was very sensitive and kind of fell into that, crawled into himself when he was bullied. And I didn't know how to teach him to be something that he was not. Yeah, I teach him to man up, and like that's not how our relationship is or anything that's been modeled to him is. But I felt like somewhere inside me, I wished that he could exhibit those traits so that he could function in that social structure that he was growing up in.
Yeah.
So, because all I cared about at that stage was him not getting hurt.
You know what's really interesting, and I tend to just let me know if I'm taking anything too far. But sometimes feminine and masculine, there's such like we think men are confident and this and that and this and that, and that's a masculine trait, and then femininity is compassion and this and this and that. So we are all masculine and feminine to some degree, and the confidence issue was not his lack of masculinity, but you were saying for your own level of confidence, I think maybe that was more something that he was taking on. And it wasn't about him being masculine or feminine, but just his own as an individual lack of confidence in that. And then those motherfuckers can smell it on you and will come at you and, you know, take that over.
Yeah, he felt that I felt there was something missing. You know, he couldn't articulate it. I couldn't articulate it.
Yeah, because you were very young. You must have been
young.
like 12 when you had him.
Yeah, thank you. No, I was 17 when I had him. And at the time, I remember he was in grade 3, when I really started to feel... maybe it was even grade 1, actually. So he would have been 6. And I was still in my early 20s. And really... Yeah,
you were... in
no idea.
I call it the junior high of life. You were just as... silly as he was at that age. You're just like, oh wait.
I mean, I wasn't, because I couldn't.
You had a kid.
But I was when he wasn't around. So it was really interesting trying to balance that, and you know, you mostly just don't want them to be hurt, because when your kid is hurting and you can't do anything about it, it's the worst pain in the world.
Yeah, from what I've heard.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that was like, yes, I didn't want him to get hurt, but so much of it was about my ego. Was so much about not getting it wrong.
Yeah, and it's like no matter what you do, you're gonna get it wrong.
I was already wrong. I had a baby at 17. Like, that's what I was overcompensating for. Like, okay, well, yeah, I had a baby at 17. Yeah, I was on social assistance. Yeah, whatever. But look at me now. I'm in university. I was valedictorian. I was just overcompensating for everything because I couldn't handle the shame of
being an unwed 17-year-old mother.
Yes. And I didn't want people to look at him and see the child of an unwed 17-year-old mother. So he was dressed really well, and he spoke very well and had very great manners, but it was like my ego that I was and putting all that shit on him to be this thing so that we weren't that thing.
Yeah.
Which is in one of these acting classes I've been in lately, so good. The teacher talks about how we protect our parents by trying to display the opposite to the world. You know, I don't want to play the role when I go into audition or to play the role of this woman who is my mother. I can't allow my body to do it because it's like I'm giving up the family secrets.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm like, let me tell you about my fucked up mom. But we never had that like kind of structure. So
right. But it's one thing talking about her.
Yeah.
It's another thing being her.
Yeah.
It's another thing allowing that to come through you, allowing the poverty to show up, you know, that I grew up in, to allow that to show up in my body.
It's going back to that thing that I said, I might have autism. Oh, well, I thought, let's just say that's true. Who gives a fuck? This identifying with this
label.
Is this, a label of this, and this means that I'm this. I want people to see me as elevated. I want people to see me as this. And I'm like, you know what? I I might not be. I might not be, and I can't keep living this life for this perception because I'm not happy. I feel stifled. I feel claustrophobic. I feel like I'm taking care of this life so that I can take care of this life and have this pretty picture. And I'm like, I'm not into this anymore.
Isn't it interesting how that builds up? Like so many times in my life, the times when I've lost everything, it's because I built up a life that was an image of a thing that I thought I wanted, a story, and then realized that story wasn't true, and then completely dismantled it. And then now I'm free, and now look at me, and I'm free, and I'm happy, and I'm glorious, and then I build up a new story, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't work.
That doesn't work.
And then I let it all burn down, and then I try, and I wonder when I'm going to stop playing that game.
Yeah.
And stay in the free space and stop building up the stories.
What's interesting, but I still thought about how do I get to these positions of having to dismantle the life. It was because of the fear that I have underlying that I don't deserve this, or I'm not capable of this, or I'm not capable, or I'm not happy with this. Just judgment, negative. And I'm constantly telling the universe, fuck this. And not just being joyful and being appreciative and being gratitude or anything like that. I'm really focusing on how much I hate all of the things. And I'm like, ugh, that for me is the thing that
The addiction.
The addiction.
Yeah.
So it's not even about this fake life. It's, for me, I would never join a club that would have me as a member.
Right.
That's what I'm doing. I mean, all of our negative experiences, they're learning tools, but we bring them forward because, that's what I'm putting out, is a lot of negativity, a lot of fear, a lot of doubt, and anxiety towards these very things that I'm living and that I've brought to me, but at the same time, doing all of the spiritual work, and then all of the wonderful stuff comes in, and so it's like, the good and the bad.
The vibrating thing. When you vibrate at a certain space, the things that don't vibrate at that space drop off, and it's like we have to be willing to let them drop off when it's not in line with where we're vibrating.
As opposed to, okay, this might not be exactly where I want to be, but I'm not going to keep focusing so much on how much I don't want to be here.
Yeah, shift your perspective. That's A Course in Miracles.
Shift your perspective.
Yeah,
and I'm
willing to see this differently.
I'm so bad at that.
Yeah. Okay, so we need to wrap up, unfortunately.
No problem.
But just before we end, I wanted to ask you if you have a dream in terms of the makeup and beauty industry, if you could imagine a dream campaign or a dream product or some way in which you would shape a message around self-care and beauty.
I've never even thought about this. Because I'm like so into the anti-aging aspect. Sometimes I don't even think about what's even possible.
Yeah. One thing that I thought of this one day was like, imagine eyeliner was used to accentuate the wrinkles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that, Dave?
That'd be like, but I like where you're going with this, where aging is considered beautiful. I think just the concept of self-care as a concept.
Yeah.
Not talking about anti-aging, but just talking about self-care. This is taking care of yourself. Look like you, the best version of you, but it's okay to have your skin feel soft.
Yeah.
Not dry and tight,
One of the things I said on an Instagram post was, I need to face my face. You know?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Maybe that's the tagline.
Or it's like, we're aging, we sagging, we bagging, and this product isn't necessarily going to stop that, but it's going to make you feel better about
it smells good.
Being raised in the patriarchy,
It smells good, and then it feels soft when you touch your skin. Wow, what a delight. I'm so grateful that you came and...
Yeah, when I saw your Facebook ad, I'm like, that sounds like everything I want to do. Hi, can I come and sit and talk about these things?
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for watching and listening. Everybody out there, face your face, motherfuckers.
Toodly-doo, toodly-doo.
You'll become invisible. Honor your life. way you're gonna hold me down. I said, I'm going gray in Tinseltown. There's no way you're gonna hold me down, 'cause I was born to entertain. And you can't take that away. I'm going gray all in your face. You can't replace this. It's going down, we're going gray in Tinseltown.